I'm going to have a go at a technique that I've never ever played or tried before, really. So for that reason, this is in no way a lesson, because I'll probably mess it up completely. I'm just recording it for fun, because if nothing else, I'll be able to watch it back and have a laugh out of it, and if I can share it and everyone else can have a laugh out of it as well, then that's brilliant. So it's anything could happen. I bought this little gadget. This is it's called a finger slide. You might have seen them before if you've watched other guitar players play. This thing basically, when you play your guitar normally, your frets on the guitar will dictate the notes. So you've either got an E or an F or a G or a B or an A. So those frets make sure that you've got good pitch for each one of your notes. The simple way to explain this is when you play with the slide, it's like playing without the frets, so that you don't have those distinctive steps between the notes. This moves up and down the neck, no matter where you move it up and down the neck to vary the pitch. So that's about as much of the theory of it as I understand. I bought it years ago. When you start playing guitar, you start collecting gadgets. I bought extra strings, a tuner, capo, one of these little bits and bobs that you tend to buy. You think, oh, that's cool, I'll have a go at that. Got it home, had a go at it. Sounded absolutely god awful. Maybe tried it for 20-30 minutes and thought. And since then, it's been sat in a little box with some other things like my string clippers and other little guitar gadgets. So literally, I've never used this since the day I bought it. In honesty, so I've done no practice with this at all. When I put this on my finger, that'll be my first proper attempt at having a go at playing slide since I bought it. So why am I doing this now? It's not something that fits in with me and my heavy metal music. I can't do a lesson from it because I can't teach what I don't know. The reason is, since I've been started doing my YouTube channel and trying to produce more content, produce more videos. If you've ever done a YouTube channel, what happens is you tend to sort of get to meet and talk to other players or other people, and you get into conversations. Sometimes you make friends with people and share hints and tips and things like that. So that's another good thing that comes from the channel. Aside from me putting out my own stuff, I've got to have some great chats and meet some great people as well. One of the people that I've met, he's called Brian. He's from Florida in the United States, which is one of the southern states in America. And most of his specialism that he plays is country guitar and blues guitar, and he plays slide quite well, which is quite commonly used in those styles of music. So it makes sense that he'd be quite practiced at using one of these in the type of music that he plays, whereas it's not something that normally comes up in the type of music that I play. It's Brian's a great player. He's made some super videos. I'll put a link down to his channel below so you can actually see an authentic view, particularly if you're one of my students that I work with. It's great to look at as many different players as you can, and you won't get a more authentic idea of different styles of music than someone who lives in that part of the world where that music is kind of from and who plays the local music. So you'd learn a lot more from watching someone like him than watching me try to do it. That's the backstory. I've been speaking with Brian about all things guitar. What guitars have you got, and this, that and the other. Fantastic guy. And he's very generously given me some hints and tips about using the slide. He explained what I've just talked about now, my experience of it, and he gave me some tips that I think might be useful, which we'll see, about trying it. So I thought it might be fun just to record my first attempt at it and see what happens. In terms of the tips, there's a few things that I probably can't do. The guitar needs to be perhaps set up a little differently in a perfect world. I haven't done that. The main thing is the string height, or what we call the action. My guitars are set up for my type of playing, so the string action is quite low, so that means the strings are quite close to the frets. What that means is when you're playing a slide, I'll probably get some interference on the frets, unless I can do it gently enough. He explained that I'll probably need to try and be very gentle with that when I'm doing it, otherwise the frets will sound and I won't get that lovely slide sound. That's one tip he gave me. Another tip, and this one I think is probably going to be the most useful one, is the guitar tuning. Your normal tuning on your guitar in standard tuning is your E, A, D, G, B, E tuning. That's probably what I use 99% of my time. If anything, for my music I might detune my E string down to D for some heavy music, but that's as far as I've ever had practice with. Tip he gave me was to use a tuning called Open G. So what that means is that I'm going to tune my strings to sound as though I'm playing a G chord. So if you think about your typical root G or your open G chord, then I've tuned my strings so that I can play that without having to put my fingers on. So instead of an E on my E string, I've tuned that to a G. So I don't need to play it with my fingers. Same for my A string, I've tuned that to a B, and my high E string, I've also tuned that to a G. So the result is, when I strum across the strings of the guitar, I get a G chord without doing anything. That makes immediate sense to me, because one of the things I noticed when I put this on my hand is, oh hang on a minute, I can't use my fingers to make chords. That was one thing that I think tripped me up last time. But now that I've got a chord automatically, nearly got stuck then. Probably something I need to be careful of. I don't want to be going to the hospital to get this removed. So one of the things, now that I've got a chord in place, I could play any chord just by playing a single finger. So I could play a G just with the strings. I kind of know from a tiny little bit of experience, I could perhaps play there and play a C. Play there, play a D. So now, before I even started sliding, I've got 3 chords that I know I can use for a blues progression without having to use my fingers to play chords. So I know that's going to be a super useful tip just to start with before I even try. So, all that being said, we shall see what happens when I try and play with the slide. I don't know if I want to put it on that finger again, just in case something bad happens. I perhaps should ask Brian what's the best way to do that. Maybe a bit soft or something, but we'll give it a try. If you don't see any videos for a while, it's because I've got this stuck and it's not come off. So, bit of slide. So I know that, let's say I thought I had a C there. Obviously I can't do vibrato or string bending with the slide, but that little sort of shaky gives me a nice little shimmery sound. Yeah, I'm not going to sell any songs playing that particular thing, but to be honest, massive thanks to Brian. I think the tip with the tuning makes it like a million times easier than what I was trying to do before. I'm actually tempted now to perhaps have a go at setting the guitar up a little bit better, or even try getting if I can, afford it or find a cheap enough guitar, have a go at having a specific guitar to play a little bit of slide on. So that went as well as I think it could have gone. Check out the guy's channel, because you can see him doing it a million times better than me. And that's one of the great things about networking on these sites. Speak to other people, and quite often, just like this guy's been so generous, you can get tips and hints to make your own playing better. I promise you, I've never used this for years and years before I just did it now. I've not warmed up, I've not practiced anything. I did tune the guitar to G, open G in advance, just to save time. But other than the tuning, I haven't done any preparation for this video. And I'm not too disappointed with it. It could have gone worse. I think next time my next video might be something a little bit more that I'm comfortable with. But I think I might have a go at slide.